Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to be reviewing I Blame Society, which is a film that was actually sent to us as a screener. So, just full disclosure, it was sent to us as a screener. It is a horror comedy mockumentary, kind of in the style of something like Leslie Vernon, but without like the horror deconstruction.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the movie Man Bites Dog.
Yes, that's actually a really great comparison. And basically the idea is you have this filmmaker who is convinced that her skills as a filmmaker would make her a great murderer, and she's making a documentary on her proving that. And naturally, given that premise, you can imagine the kind of dark shenanigans she gets herself involved in. One of the things I think is really cool and kind of interesting about this movie is that the director, Gillian Horvat, I think? I'll have to double check that. I believe it's Gillian Horvat.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to pronounce the name either.
Yeah.
But she was...
Good name. I had it pulled up a second ago, just so in case I forgot the name.
Just in case this happened?
Yes.
God, how dare you be prepared for a thing you
I know
is probably going to happen.
I know, and of course there it is, like, see? Hold on.
We hope we're saying it right.
Yeah, Gillian Horvat. I might be mispronouncing that, but that's her name. What's really cool about this movie is that she plays a character with her own name. She is playing a character named Gillian, who is also a filmmaker who's made a bunch of shorts, just like the real person.
Yeah.
So there's this really cool blurring of reality and fiction in this movie, which just makes it all the more effective.
Yeah. One of the first things that you will notice is that this is definitely a movie that was made during COVID, because there's no more than 3 people in any scene.
That's true.
You know,
That's
like
true.
this thing is shot on video cameras. You know, it is not shot on film.
And GoPros.
And GoPros. Yeah, it's cheap ass filmmaking the entire way. This really, actually, really, it feels like they made it, but the main book that they took all their inspiration from was Lloyd Kaufman's Make Your Own Damn Movie.
It does kind of have that vibe. Like, because of the premise of the movie, part of the conceit is that as she's making this documentary, more and more of her friends and family just start kind of like separating themselves from her because she's getting more and more weird and more immersed in this world of being a murderer. So she ends up doing most of the things in the film by herself by the end of it, including having a personal dolly.
Yeah.
She is literally cranking herself to do dramatic push-ins.
Yeah. I actually, those are some of my favorite jokes in the entire thing, because it's sort of like, oh no, this would be great as a push-in, and then she fucks with the camera, puts a thing on, like, you know, a fucking like wheelchair, and then just starts rolling it forward, and that's when I knew, but you could still see her like fucking cranking the thing.
Yep. So you have all these great, hilarious filmmaking shenanigans, and anybody who's been involved in a production, making anything, from a documentary to a movie, will be able to relate to that shit, even with the extremes they take it to in this movie.
Yeah.
But one of the other things about this movie, on top of the hilarity and on top of the brutal horror that happens throughout it, it is also very much a commentary on what it's like to be a woman working in the industry right now.
Oh yeah.
And all the pitfalls you run into, including running into the woke producers.
Yeah, the woke producers.
That are clearly dude bros and are only saying the things, they're virtue signaling the ideas.
Yeah.
But they're actually like complete sexist douchebags that don't care about anything.
Yeah, they have no idea what they're even talking about. They don't even know what the words...
They're using the buzzwords, but the actual meaning is lost. And you know, you can imagine being a woman who is trying to make it into the industry, telling your truth. It'd be really difficult to run into these guys that are constantly speaking the language but have no actual intention of doing anything that would actually benefit you as a woman in the industry.
Yeah. The thing that you got to be warned about going in, if you need a sympathetic character to latch onto, forget it. The fact that the movie does not have a sympathetic character for you is actually a point that the movie itself brings.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's this whole conversation that happens throughout the movie about strong women in film. And the movie makes a very clear point that it's not necessarily strong women, it's interesting characters. It's fully developed characters, which she 100% is in this movie.
But the version of her that is like on the film isn't.
Well, you have this contrast between who she is and trying to present that realistic, authentic version of herself in her documentary, but also trying to cater to the whims of what the producers want.
Yeah. Oh, another movie this reminds me of, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. It's if someone crossed Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer with Bane Bites Dog.
Oh yeah, and it's hilarious. There's so many funny ass moments in this movie that I can't really mention right now because they might be spoilers, but like stuff like the manually cranking the camera is a good example of one of the funny moments.
Yeah, one of the other things I really liked, because like about halfway through the movie, like this movie has a lot of twists and turns, and halfway through I'm like, how are they gonna end this?
Oh yeah, because there's a point halfway through where you're trying to figure out where is this gonna go.
Yeah.
Like how are you gonna conclude this story? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, because you're like, well, she can't just cleanly get away with it. That wouldn't work.
Oh yeah.
And she can't lose. That also wouldn't work.
Now, the ending is actually really great.
No, the ending is really good.
We'll get to that when we get to the spoilers, but the ending is actually really satisfactory. So if you're looking at this movie worried about where's it going to go, don't worry.
Don't worry.
It goes in a great place.
It gets there, yeah.
But I love the director / actress playing the main role.
Yeah. And writer.
Is amazing in this role. Because here's the thing, she's not likable in the Hollywood likable traditional sense.
Oh God, no.
But she is an enjoyable and interesting person to watch. And she's, despite being fucked up, she's fun.
Yeah. Like, if the whole point of this character is you're watching someone going around being a psychotic con.
Like you're watching a person. Imagine like a hilarious scenarios, kind of like The Office, where you kind of have this like awkward exchanges between characters, but one of the characters is a complete sociopath but doesn't know it.
Yeah. She goes throughout the entire movie judging everyone for their very obvious character flaws, but never seems to fucking realize that she is a classic narcissist.
Yeah, 100%. You know? But here's the thing, what is also part of the point of the movie is that kind of being a narcissist is what gets you ahead in this world in the first place, in the filmmaking world of Hollywood right now. So it's actually part of the point.
Yeah, it's clearly filmed in the LA area because, I mean, just look at it.
Absolutely.
And you're like, oh yeah, that's the one, like, it doesn't have a lot of professional actors except for the guy that plays the best friend.
Oh yeah, he's the dude from John Dies at the End.
A guy plays the main character.
I forget that actor's
John.
Name. Yeah. I forget that actor's name, but I'll put it right here. But the guy from John Dies at the End does a great job playing one of her best friends that she kind of slowly pushes away over the course of the movie because she's convinced that his girlfriend has to die.
Yeah, and the thing it was a really smart idea to make sure that character, more than anyone else, was played by a professional actor.
Oh yeah.
Because you had to be able to believe that guy 100%.
I'm pretty sure the boyfriend is also played by like a full-on professional actor that I've seen in some like indie productions before.
Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't seen any of them. I didn't recognize
but that I love the boyfriend in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, the boyfriend in this movie was the character that I was identifying with the most, because he's an editor working in Hollywood who's working on like TV shows and shit like that. He obviously is kind of like hates his job because he got into the industry, you know, for fame and fortune, and he's stuck editing shitty reality show number 5.
Yeah. He has a t-shirt that says "Rest in Peace, Final Cut Pro."
Yes. I want that shirt so bad. It's specifically Final Cut Pro 7.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro 7.
Before 10 came out, because I felt that when I saw that shirt. I was like, oh man, this guy's speaking to me.
Well, because that was the last version before it was like buy Final Cut Pro, because now there's a whole generation of filmmakers going like, yeah, I've heard legends of the Final Cut Pro told in the long ago.
What I loved about the character though is that he's a super supportive boyfriend in the beginning. He's just like, yeah, let's just do this or whatever, but he does have like opinions. Like he doesn't necessarily think that the murderer documentary is a great idea, because basically worried about the ethical considerations of making a documentary like that.
He's not just worried about the ethical considerations, although he is. He's also worried about, like, isn't this just gonna alienate all your friends.
Yeah, which she does.
Which it does, yeah.
And I like
everything that he warns her about happens.
I like his character because you can judge how when she's gone too far based on his reactions. You know?
Yeah.
He's like the audience. What do you call it? The audience's conscience. You know?
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but like maybe even like it might even be a little bit of voice of the narrator.
Probably,
you know, voice of the director. You know, someone going like, all right, make sure you notice right here, this is a bad thing that is happening.
Well, you kind of have two voices of the voice of the narrator, voice of the filmmaker, voice of the writer, whatever.
Yeah.
You kind of have two versions of that. You have him at the beginning of the movie, but then you have her at the end of the movie. Like the things that she's like expressing towards the end, her rant at the end.
Yeah. but like, how to put it, in the beginning, like the boyfriend's basically Jiminy Cricket. Yeah, you're right. You're right about being conscious. But he's basically the Jiminy Cricket because the minute he leaves her life is when she just is completely
there is no
gone.
conscience
There's
in their
no
life
going
anymore.
back. Yeah.
It's now just completely off the deep end. We're all in on the insanity.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend I Blame Society. I think it's a really fun movie. It would make a great double feature with the movie I watched recently, Spree, which was about they're both kind of like mockumentary style movies about serial killers working in the modern day.
Yeah, and they're all done like on the cheap.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
You know, inexpensive camera equipment.
So if you liked a movie like that, you'll probably like this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. Speaking of Spree.
All right, between the cat meowing and apparently that guy honking, it's probably close to us to go into the spoilers. I Blame Society is currently available on a lot of platforms to stream and rent, but it is being like released region to region over the course of the year. So it's kind of having like a...
You'll have to keep looking to see when it's in your area.
Yeah, it's currently available in America right now on various platforms, but I don't know for your specific countries when it's out. You're just gonna have to check. But with that said, let's move on to the spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, so watching her stalk and kill people is fascinating in this movie.
Oh yeah. It reminds me a lot of Creep.
Well, 100%. It's got a similar kind of like, in the movie Creep, he kind of had this weird combination of like charming, but underneath the surface is something really unsettling going on.
Yeah.
She has a very similar vibe. She's just a lot more awkward from the get-go.
Yeah, and how to put it, you never feel the menace from her, just the murder.
No.
You know,
towards the end you do.
Oh yeah, but because you've been watching her do it, and so you're like,
But from the beginning, she just comes across as kind of awkward, quirky girl.
Yeah.
Which is probably part of the point. That's probably like playing on tropes, you know?
Yeah.
You don't expect that character to turn into a serial killer, but she does. And I also like that her actually trying to carry out each stage of the murdering, because she kind of has she's kind of divided it into stages over the course of the movie.
Yeah, she scripted the whole history of herself as this killer
because she's treating it like a narrative, you know.
Yeah,
like it's like the hero's journey, right? Like
she keeps referencing Joseph Campbell.
Yeah,
you know,
which is hilarious. And so you like have the moment where she's got to like cross the threshold, and because she's stalking this one girl she's picked out, and she wants to like break into the house, but like there's this really great combination of like awkward, realistic, this is how a real person carrying it out would happen.
Yeah.
With just like office style awkward humor.
Yeah.
So you have like her trying to break into the house, but like a car alarm goes off and then a dog starts barking, and neither of these things have anything to do with the house that she's breaking into, but it's just enough noise to like scare her off, because like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
But of course, while she's doing that, she also gets a phone call.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is when it moves to her actually going through with the killing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the movie tends to get really serious and real good.
Yeah.
Watching her creep around this fucking woman's apartment.
Oh god, that stuff. What I love over the course of the movie is she starts off as kind of awkward, nerdy girl, but as the movie goes on, from like the camera angles and like the black and like because she uses a lot of night vision in some of these sequences.
Yeah,
she looks like fucking Nosferatu.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, she does.
She's kind of got like that weird like lanky kind of silhouette, like watching them while they sleep and shit. And it's just like, man, that's really well like great physical acting on the actress's part, and also just great framing in general as a filmmaker.
Yeah, it reminded me of some of the POV scene in Strange Days, where it's the killer breaking into the dude's fucking house and then sending him the memory tape of it.
And of course, like you got a lot of filmmaking humor, like, I'm not setting this camera up to be creepy; it's for coverage.
Yeah.
Because every filmmaker knows that you're gonna be mad if you didn't get the coverage. When you're in the editing room, you're gonna be mad.
Yeah. You're gonna want that nice wide shot that just has everything.
But like, I also like that she's also like mapped out like how the audience is supposed to feel about her over the course of the story. Like, she's like, okay, so these people deserve it, but we gotta throw in some people that don't deserve it. It's gonna hurt the likability of the character. But we gotta do this because we gotta throw off the MO.
Yeah.
So that I don't get caught doing this. I just love watching her work through her thought process.
Yeah, and it is like the thing that's interesting about it. One of the other things that's interesting about it is that this isn't her trying to be a slasher. It is her trying to be like a true crime serial killer.
Yeah, because 90% of the way she kills people is through drugging them and like giving them like cyanide capsules or something. Basically, I don't know exactly what she gives them, but something that is soluble in their food, so when they eat it or they drink it, they just choke up and die. You know?
Yeah.
That's 90% of the way she kills people. Though towards the end, it does turn more slashery.
Yeah. The movie's plenty bloody.
It kind of has that thing where it's like, you know, when the dog tastes blood and now you can't trust him because now he's going to thirst for the blood. Yeah. The moment she actually stabs someone because she has no other choice because he won't drink the fucking poison, there's no turning back at that point. At that point, she's just cutting everyone up.
Yeah. Oh God, or when she busts that one guy's head open.
Ooh, yeah.
Damn, that was like, oh man, no, that was cool.
It was definitely not the most hi Gomez. It was definitely not the most graphic of sequences, but probably the most disturbing sequence in my opinion was kind of when she got her first taste of killing by poisoning her best friend with he's allergic to nuts. And like poisoning him with food that was tainted with nuts and just letting him choke and die. That scene is hilarious because she's trying to get him to like admit that her girlfriend, his girlfriend is terrible.
Your girlfriend is no good
and bad for you and emotionally abusive, while she's like threatening him to not give him his medication so they won't die.
Yeah,
because that's not emotionally or physically
and
abusive.
He can't breathe on top of it, so he can't even respond.
But that sequence was one of the funniest kills in the movie, but it's also the most disturbing.
Yeah,
because you're just watching him slowly choke out while his best friend is refusing to give him the pen because she's too narcissistic to realize what she's doing.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
That scene was just unnerving as fuck. And I love that combination of I'm sitting there laughing at it, but I'm also sitting there going like, yeesh.
Yeah.
And then as the movie goes on, it gets more and more like overtly graphic, and those scenes work in that context. But that scene for me was probably the most disturbing.
Well, because that's the real crossing the threshold.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
she lets her friend die,
and that's the thing. She's mapped out her journey as a filmmaker or her journey as a murderer as if it were a film. You know, she's got like Act 1, Act 2, and that's kind of. Like, you can kind of see how she thought that her filmmaking skills would work in this context, you know, because, like, she's literally, like, she's basically storyboarded and done a treatment for how this is supposed to go. But, of course, it wouldn't be a movie if it went entirely
according to plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, there'd be no surprises.
Hence, scenes where a person refuses to take the drugs, or take the drink that has the drugs in it, so she has to stab them. You know?
Oh, the other detail is that she makes them all look like suicides.
Oh yeah,
by leaving these suicide posts. But here's the thing about it: these suicide posts are like the suicide letters read like Instagram posts.
Yeah, they do.
And I was like, oh,
the other thing,
that's kind of beautiful.
I also like that at the beginning of the movie, her notes seem more reasonable and believable, but by the end of it, it's clearly not the person.
Yeah, clearly has nothing to do with the person.
It's just her opinion of the person, and you can watch this slow transition as she goes more and more into her descent. That her suicide notes get more and more ridiculous. But I also love that because it's a comedy, it like cuts to like people being interviewed about like the deaths, where it's just like, oh no, I read that note. That note was totally her. She was totally that kind of bitch.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, I thought that no one was gonna believe that note.
Well, especially the one where like someone's like, I'm killing myself because millennials are ruining the planet. You know? And then the guy's wife was like, yep, those millennials, they finally did it to him. That's all their fault.
There was at least one good for her kill in this movie though, and that was the pharmaceutical guy, the guy who does the insurance who works for the insurance company.
Oh yeah.
And he does that like super narcissistic rant of his own where he doesn't really give a shit about poor people. He just wants his money, and why the fuck do poor people not care about him and the money that he gets, and the date he's on is just like, oh jeez.
Just get out of here.
And so, like, when she kills that guy, you're like, yeah, good for her. And that scene is the funniest kill. Like,
oh yeah,
because that whole moment where it's just like, oh yeah, she hooks up with him and takes him to his place and has sex with him, and has this whole moment of just like, oh by the way, I had unprotected sex with a homeless person yesterday. I didn't get myself tested because I didn't have insurance.
Actually, you know, I just realized another movie that this reminded me of. It reminds me of Felt, but done really, really well.
Oh, yeah. I remember Felt. I was really disappointed in that movie. Yeah, I wanted to like that movie more than I did.
Yeah, it just...
But you are right. A lot of notes that movie was trying to hit, I do feel like this movie hits a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know? Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's definitely a way more entertaining movie.
But okay, all right. I'm gonna spoil the end of the movie. So if you're already like at this far into the vlog and you haven't watched it yet, and you want to see where it goes for yourself and you don't want it completely spoiled, stop right here, go watch the movie, come back, and then finish this vlog from this point forward, because we're about to go into like the final act of the film. So, with that said, so the ultimate culmination of this movie is you have two culminations. You have the culmination of the subplot with her and her best friend that she kills, and the best friend's girlfriend that she thinks is abusive and manipulative and hates.
Yeah, she's been working up to killing this character the entire movie.
Yeah, so you have this really fucked up sequence where she drugs her, she breaks into her house, pours shit into her drink, then the girl falls unconscious, and then when she wakes up, she's in a bathtub and all her organs have been removed. Yeah. And it's basically that urban legend of like waking up in a bathtub of ice with all your organs removed.
Yeah, and she's like, I am such a piece of shit, I'm gonna kill myself and donate all my working organs.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because we've only heard of her bad behavior from the main character, who is an extremely unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And because every other character who are obviously better people than she is, that knows the both of them, thinks that her take on her is full of shit, it's very clear to me that this girl did not deserve this fate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is the moment where you're just like, no, remember, she's a serial killer. She's not a good person.
Yeah.
We had fun with the insurance guy and, like, the rapey dudes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this girl right here, this is completely personal, and it's not even based in reality. It's based on her fictionalized version of the person in her head.
Yeah, yeah.
And that scene's just like viscerally fucked up. Like, I thought the death of the best friend was like the most emotionally like, whoa, what the fuck? This scene is the most like, oh Jesus, what'd you do to her?
Well, yeah, she's vivisecting her.
It's like, Jesus Christ, like, all she did was throw his laptop. Like,
yeah.
And even then, we're not sure if she even actually did that, because everyone else disputes that account. So
yeah, so you have no idea what's true.
But that scene ends, and it looks like the movie itself is ending at that point, and you're like, well, I mean, that does kind of wrap up that plot, but that's not really a satisfactory ending. And then we pull out and we reveal that we have been watching the documentary in the board meeting.
Yeah, we're watching the pitch meeting.
Yeah.
For, for distribution.
With the douchey producers from earlier in the movie, and we find out some of the weird choices she made throughout it. We're trying to cater to like their notes and stuff. Yeah, like about like nudity and things like that. So that's why she added like a sex scene and like fucked that hobo and like. But they decide that like, oh well, that movie's a little too unrealistic. We're not gonna really take this job. We really want a movie with like strong female characters. And then she just fucking slaughters them with a knife and just cuts them up. And it's just like,
and that's the end of the movie.
Well, here's the greatest part. It's just like, why are you doing this? Because I'm a strong female character. It slits his throat. And I was just like, beautiful, perfect, 10 out of 10.
Oh,
well, because you hate those guys the moment you see them. No matter where you sit on the woke, not woke spectrum, these douchey, fake woke bros.
Oh, they're just there to fucking like bullshit you.
They're obnoxious as fuck. So her slitting their throats was just.
Yeah, but it was a really good way to end the movie because it allows the audience to win. Yeah. Because something amazing happens.
Oh yeah.
I was really because I was trying to figure out a way that they were gonna get out of this situation because I'm like, she can't get away. Everyone would get away with it scot-free.
Oh yeah.
She can't completely win. Everyone will get mad.
Oh yeah.
Well, what I like she can't completely lose because then what's the fucking point?
Oh yeah. Well, what I like about this ending is you get this feeling that she makes her political statement.
Yeah.
And it's a really great statement, and it makes a whole lot of sense. And the movie makes its statement too about like female characters and the difference between a strong female character and just a really well-developed female character.
Yeah.
Three-dimensional, a full-on character. And this character does a great job of exemplifying the difference between the two because I don't know if you would call her strong, but she certainly is interesting and fascinating.
Yeah. She's not like she's not playing like a Melanie Griffith character from the 80s or anything.
That being said, her journey into becoming a stronger person is super fucked up, and I love it. The difference between that and like the like weird version that Hollywood always does, where it's like a character that is not really a person. They don't really have flaws or a personality because doing that might risk making them not strong.
Like how to put it. When
the 90s had a lot of movies like that.
Yeah, when Alice from the fucking Resident Evil movies is like the high end of that spectrum.
That's a great example of like, well, that's an interesting one because that's an example of both trying to do that while also having your she's sexy cake too.
Yeah, which I always found myself going like, well, you could do that, but then you would have to do that.
Yeah.
Like you can make that work, but then I guess you have to be better than the movie is. I don't know.
She's so weird because you watch those Resident Evil movies and she changes personality from movie to movie. And in some of the movies, she just doesn't have any.
No,
she's just kind of there.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing this time? I don't fucking know.
And like sometimes you feel
kicking a fucking zombie through a stained glass window. I don't know.
Sometimes you feel like it's them trying to do like a man with no name thing with her, but it just never really lands, unfortunately.
No, because we're always following her.
All right.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We have strong... sorry, I spoke the name of the devil. Sorry.
Okay, so I Blame Society is so damn good and it makes its point so well. We're sitting here ranting about movies that do things badly.
Yeah.
Because there's really not much we could say to criticize this movie. This movie is a fun ride from start to finish. It does exactly what it sets out to do.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's dark. It'll make you go, what the fuck, multiple times.
The biggest like low points of the movie is it's clear not everyone is, not everyone is a professional actor.
Oh yeah, not everyone is at the A level, or not, especially not on the level of the person playing the lead role, because like Gillian does an amazing job playing Gillian. Clearly she was born for this role.
Clearly she was born to play herself.
Yes. Or at least the fucked up version of herself that gets to kind of like, I imagine killing those producers was a thing that she had wanted to do her whole life.
Yeah.
Dealing with these motherfuckers.
Gotta come from a real place.
Yeah,
it just has
that felt raw and real.
Yeah. Of course, there's also like, oh god, that scene where she's fucking trying to film her and her boyfriend having sex, but she's doing it covertly because she doesn't want to tell him, and she's constantly trying to reach over and fix the angle of the camera.
Well, I also love that moment where he's just like, well, maybe I'll film something sexy. It's like, no, I don't want your dick in my movie. Yeah. Which I gotta say, most real thing a female filmmaker has ever said about her boyfriend.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Why are you just filming us with me eating you out? I want it to be something that I can see. And you get this weird implication that she's simultaneously filming it for her movie, but she's also filming it because there's no way she's getting away with this, so she wants to have like this weird memory.
Yeah, like, yeah. She's doing that serial killer thing of like, well, if I preserve the memory, then
and it's hard to tell whether that's just her trying to justify it to him or if she actually believes that.
Yeah, it is very hard to tell. Movie's really good.
Yeah, I Blame Society.
It's a really good movie.
Ask for it by name. It's fantastic. And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
You can find me on Twitter at JackSatanWave. You can find me on Twitch at Count_Jackula, and you can find me at Instagram at Satanic Jackula. I stream twice a week on Twitch on Thursday and Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific. I almost said specific, Dan.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. Pacific Standard Time, and I hope to see you there. And how about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because these videos do way better the more engagement they get, and engagement comes in the form of likes, subscriptions, shares. So do all that. And if you'd like to help out our channels more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And I almost forgot to say this, but also ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And as an extra bonus, I am not sponsored by them, but if you were wondering where I got this awesome Team Godzilla shirt, they actually did a line of Team Godzilla, Team Kong, and Godzilla vs. Kong, or Kong vs. Godzilla t-shirts over at Cavity Colors. They're really fantastic. I bought these myself. They weren't sent to me, not sponsored. I just love the shirts and I wanted to spread the word. Because they're really nice to me on Twitter.
So. Oh, yeah.
And with that said, I Blame Society.
Bullshit. You're a fucking white suburban punk just like me.
Fair. Wait, you're not white.
Yeah.